What is up, guys? Welcome to Session 8 of Linux Bash Scripting Intermediate Level. As always, I am your instructor, Kevin Downs. Today, we're going over security on a Linux system. So last session, we covered string comparison, string relations, concatenation, substring manipulations, wildcards, and pattern matching. Today, we're going to go over process ownership very briefly, set user ID and set group ID, restricted shells, other security features, the new group commands, statement blocks, and case statements. So a lot of this is review for us, guys. And we're going to go ahead and we'll start with the review of top. So this is a typical output of top here, guys. So if I actually go to my virtual box here, and let me actually exit out of this real quick, and I run my top command, you'll notice here that this is a live view of everything that's running. It shows us the processes that are running here, the user that executed it, and the process ID of it. Okay? That's a very quick, easy way to see what processes are running. If you need to get a little bit more specific with what's running, you can always do a ps-ef and then grep for a specific process. Okay, so maybe process name is do top. Okay. And then it shows you everything that has the word top in it and what process is running. Okay. You can also search for a process ID in the same way. So I'm just going to make up a number here. I mean, I don't actually know if this is an ID. Okay, so I got lucky. Something actually had that number in it. Okay. Or actually, this is what I just ran. That's what they're showing. But you can see you see the process ID here. So you can actually search by process ID if you know the process ID. Okay? So that's a quick and easy way to kind of look at the process ownership of files, which we've kind of talked about before. We've also discussed set user ID and set group ID. So set user ID sets the owner user ID upon execution. And it's a special type of file permission given to a file. So normally in Linux and Unix, when a program runs, it inherits access permission from the logged in user. What set user ID does is it's defined as giving temporary permission to a user to run a program file with the permission of the file owner rather than the user who runs it. So guys, in simple words, users will get file owner permissionship as well as owner user ID and group ID when executing a file command or program. So it's saying that whoever created the file, you will get their permissions as opposed to your permissions when running that file. Okay? And you can set that with chmod user plus s, or chmod, and you can use the octal version, which would be chmod 4 and then your permissions. Okay? I can show you that real quick. So we're going to do an ls here. Oops. ls. There we go. Actually, we're going to, remember, you got to do a ls-l to show the actual permissions on things. So we're just going to pick a file here at random. Let's just say this redirect.txt. Okay. Keep in mind the permissions here. So we got read, write, read, write, read. Okay. So I'm going to clear the screen. I'm going to do a chmod user plus s redirect. Oops. .txt. Okay. I'm going to do a ll. We're going to grep for that redirect text so we don't see everything else. Okay. And there you go. Now we see an S. Okay. So when you see a capital S, that means that it's not executable. Executable permissions is not set. When it's lowercase s, executable permissions are set. So we're going to look at our next one here. Oh, before I do that too, you can also do, like I said, 4. So chmod 4. And then whatever permissions you want for the rest of it. And that will also set group ID, or user ID, excuse me. All right, so we're going to talk about group ID now. So set group ID is a special type of file permission given to a file folder. Normally, in Linux, when a program runs, it inherits access permissions from the logged in user. Set group ID is defined as giving temporary permissions to a user to run a program or file with the permissions of the file group permissions to become a member of that group to execute the file. So guys, in simple terms, when you run that file or folder that has a set group ID set to it, you inherit the permissions of the group that owns that file. And much like set user ID, you can do chmod group plus S, or you can do the octal version, which would be chmod 2, and then whatever permissions you want to give it, okay? So I'll demonstrate that very quickly. We're going to use the same file, so we're going to do chmod group plus S redirect.txt, okay? And we're going to do an LL, and we're going to grep for that redirect text, okay? Now we see on the group, we have that S, right? Before we didn't have the S here, and now we do. And again, it's capital, meaning that it does not have executable permissions. If it was lowercase, we would have executable permissions, okay? Let's go ahead and talk about restricted shells. So the restricted shell is a Unix shell that restricts some of the capabilities available to an interactive user session or to a shell script running within it. It is intended to provide an additional layer of security, but is insufficient to allow execution of entirely untrusted software, okay? So some security features of Linux is it's more difficult to exit a dangerous attachment in the Linux OS. Linux does not give user admin access by default. Linux has more people looking out for security issues. Linux is the most secure because it's open source, and Linux is the most secure because it's highly configurable. It's perfect for programmers, it's customizable, and it has a variety of distributions. We're going to talk about this new group command. So the new group command is used to change the current group ID during a login session. If a hyphen is included as an argument, then user environment is initialized, though he or she had logged in. Otherwise, the current working environment remains unchanged. So new group changes the current real group ID to the specific group, or if no group is specified, to the default group listed in the file /etc. New group also tries to add the group to the user group set, okay? Now I can't really demo this because I don't have any groups set up on the system, but essentially you do the new group command, and then I can do ABC, okay? Okay, so it's telling me, group ABC doesn't exist, okay? Like I said, I don't really have any groups set up here. If we do that same command, except this time we do -ABC, ABC dash. Then I'm going to try to initialize this with my current environment, okay? So that's kind of the syntax of that command. We're going to go ahead and talk about statement blocks here. So if you want to use multiple statements in a place where only one is allowed, such as in an AND or list, you can do so by enclosing them in curly braces to make a statement block. So for example, we can see the following code here. We have get confirm and, so 2 ampersand symbols, curly brace, and we have grep-v, the cdc atnum variable, the track file variable, and we're redirecting that to a temp file variable. Then we would cat temp variable, or a temp file variable, redirect that to a tracks file variable. Then we would echo, add, record, tracks, and close this curly brace. So we're able to do multiple things in one AND statement here, right? Whereas normally we could only put one and we'd have to keep doing more AND statements. So we're using multiple AND statements here in the body, okay? We'll go ahead and review case statements as well. So remember, case statement is not a loop. It does not execute a block of code from n number of times. Instead, bash shell checks the condition and controls the flow of the program. So here we have a simple script. We'll go ahead and write the script up together here. Do this, we're going to do a vim. We're going to call it lith, so short for Lithuanian.sh. We're insert, we're always going to put our hash playing at the beginning. Remember, that's the first thing you should always do in your script. We're going to do an echo -n, enter the name of a country. We're going to put a space there just so it reads a little bit nicer. We're going to use that read command to capture user input. We're going to name the variable that puts that input in as country. We're going to do another echo statement. The official language of, and then the country variable is, we're going to add another space just so it looks nicer. And we're going to start our case statement. So case country variable in. We'll set up our first pattern here, which is going to be Lithuania. And we'll set up an echo statement -n. And their language would be Lithuanian. I think I spelled that wrong. Yeah, I did. Lithuanian. There we go. Remember, we always do a double semicolon to end our first pattern. And then whenever you want to set in everything else, or, you know, anything but Lithuania, you always use that star symbol, which usually means all. So it's a meta character. We'll do another echo statement. Unknown. We don't know what their language is because I don't know what country you just specified. And we'll end that with a double semicolon. And we always end case statements with the word case spelled backwards. E-S-A-C. Okay. So we have our echo, our read command here to capture user input after this echo. Gets stored in the variable country. Then we have another echo statement. It's going to echo the official, oops, I see this typo there. The official language of variable country is. And then based off of what we put into here, this case statement will search for the pattern and echo one of these statements. If we put Lithuania, it's going to echo this. Otherwise, everything else is going to be unknown, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. Let's make executable, right? We have to make executable to run a script. And let's go ahead and run it. Oops. There we go. Enter the name of the country. Well, let's do Lithuania just so we can play nice and actually see the script word. Okay. So we see here the official language of Lithuania is Lithuanian. For some reason, it started my prompt on the same line. I think that's actually a bug with my terminal here. Okay, normally that's not going to happen. But as you can see, the script ran successfully. We can run that script again. And this time put something crazy, say like made up land. Enter the name of country, made up land. The official language of made up land is unknown. Well, not surprising because it is made up. So that was a quick refresh on how the case statement works. So in summary, guys, for this session was a quick one, just a little bit of an overview. We talked about process ownership, set user ID and set group ID, restricted shells, other security features, the new group command, statement blocks, and case statement. Looking forward in the next session, we're going to cover getting data into scripts, manipulating positional parameters, set, sort, shift, analyzing switches with get ops options, reserved variables such as opt target and opt independent, and setting default values. If you need a little bit of extra help, go ahead and follow these links for private tutoring sessions for system administrator management. There are weekly and monthly plans available. There's also private tutoring sessions available for Linux and Bash scripting. Thanks so much for joining me, guys. This has been a session and course from coding-bootcamps.com. I'm looking forward to seeing you in our next session.